Hello everyone, welcome to today's story. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting soft lines of gold across Alex's desk. Emails, contracts, and phone calls kept flooding in, the rhythm of his days, mechanical and relentless. Yet amid that rush, one thought lingered like a breath he couldn't let go. Lytuna and Henry, his home, his peace. The city roared beyond the glass, but inside him, a quieter world whispered her name. Every deal he closed felt meaningless compared to the soft laughter of his son, the warmth of her hand. Just then, his phone vibrated. Lytuna, her voice gentle yet trembling. Alex, can you take Henry to the hospital? He needs a shot today. That fragile tone carried something unspoken, a quiet fear beneath calm words. Alex stood up, leaving everything behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The truth is just beginning to unfold. The road shimmered under the late morning sun. Alex's hands tightened on the steering wheel as the city blurred past. Every second he spent away from work was a rebellion, but a necessary one. Beside him, Lytuna sat quietly, Henry sleeping in her arms, his soft breathing blending with the hum of the engine. Silence filled the car like mist, tender but heavy. Through the rearview mirror, Alex caught the reflection of Lytuna's face, her eyes lowered, her fingers gently tracing Henry's hair. There was a beauty in that stillness, and yet something distant, like the calm sea before a storm. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. She nodded, but her voice trembled. "I'm just scared he'll cry, or that he won't stop." It wasn't just about the injection, Alex knew. It was about every fear she never voiced, the fear of losing what she loved most. At the hospital, everything was too white, too bright. The sterile air carried the faint scent of alcohol and worry. When the nurse approached, Henry stirred. His eyes fluttered open, two pools of confusion. Then came the cry. It shattered the air, high and raw. Lytuna froze, her breath catching. Tears welled up even before the needle touched his skin. Alex reached for her hand, but she didn't see him. Her world had narrowed to the sound of her child's pain. When it was over, Henry's sobs softened into hiccups. Lytuna pressed her cheek to his, whispering words that dissolved into trembling breaths. Outside, sunlight poured over them again, too gentle for the ache still lodged in their chests. Alex looked at them, mother and child, and felt a weight lift. He realized then, love wasn't about protecting someone from pain. It was about being there through it. Later, as they drove home, Henry finally fell asleep. The tension in the car eased. Alex glanced at Lytuna. Her lashes fluttered, exhaustion painting her delicate. "Let's have dinner out tonight," he said quietly. She turned, surprised. Then a small smile. "You're always trying to make me smile, aren't you?" Alex didn't answer. He just reached over and intertwined his fingers with hers. Between them, words became unnecessary. Only the steady pulse of two hearts finding rhythm again amidst the waves of silence. Dinner was quiet, not awkward, but tender in its silence. The restaurant Alex had chosen was hidden on a small street lined with lanterns, their dim glow flickering against the windows. The soft hum of a violin drifted through the air. Lytuna looked around, her expression softening. For the first time that day, her shoulders seemed to relax. "You planned this?" she asked, eyes glinting under the warm light. Alex smiled. I just wanted today to end peacefully. The waiter brought their dishes, each one carefully plated, gleaming under the light like small works of art. Henry babbled softly in his stroller, his earlier tears replaced by curiosity. For a while, they simply ate in silence, exchanging smiles that said more than words could. And yet, beneath that serenity, an invisible current stirred. Alex noticed how Lytuna's gaze sometimes drifted toward the window, how her hand tightened unconsciously around the edge of the table. "Lytuna," he said gently, "you've been quiet all evening." She hesitated. Then her voice broke the quiet, fragile but resolute. "Alex, do you ever think about leaving?" He blinked. "Leaving? I mean, when I refused you, all those times before, I thought you would give up." Her eyes glistened, reflecting the candlelight. "I was scared you'd stop waiting." For a long moment, Alex said nothing. The air between them thickened, filled with unsaid things. Then, quietly, he reached across the table and took her hand. "I never waited," he said. "I just stayed." Her lips trembled. The years of hesitation, of fear, of trying to protect herself, all suddenly felt small compared to the calm certainty in his voice. "I thought love had to be perfect," she whispered, "but maybe it only needs to be real." Outside, the rain began to fall. Light, rhythmic, steady. Through the window, the droplets blurred the streetlights into shimmering halos. They left the restaurant and walked in silence, the world around them bathed in orange and gold. The park nearby glowed beneath the setting sun. Henry's laughter returned, echoing between the trees. For a fleeting moment, everything felt untouched, the kind of peace that makes you believe time could stop. But then, a sound broke the rhythm, the low hum of a car pulling up nearby. Alex turned. A black sedan slowed beside them, its windows tinted, engine idling. The door opened. A figure stepped out, someone familiar yet out of place. Lytuna's breath hitched, her hand, still in Alex's, tightened. Who is that?" she murmured. The figure smiled faintly, not warmth, not hostility, but something in between. And in that single glance, Alex felt it, the stillness before a storm returning. Because peace, he realized, is never permanent. It is a borrowed moment, a pause between tides. And at that moment, everything changed. The figure stood under the fading light, a woman, elegant yet weary, her expression unreadable. Lytuna froze. Her heartbeat quickened. Memories she had buried deep began to resurface. "Mai?" she whispered. Alex frowned slightly. He had heard that name before, once, long ago, when Lytuna spoke of someone she used to trust, someone who had betrayed her. Mai's eyes softened. "It's been a long time, Lytuna." Her voice trembled, not with malice but with remorse. "I didn't come to take anything. I just wanted to see if you were happy." The air between them was fragile, like glass. Henry stirred in his stroller, his small hand reaching upward as if sensing the tension. Alex instinctively stepped forward, his body subtly shielding his family. Lytuna's voice was barely a whisper. "Why now?" Mai smiled faintly, her eyes glistening. "Because I finally understood what I destroyed. I left you when you needed me most. I let fear win. And I heard you found peace." She looked at Alex, then back at Lytuna. "I just wanted to see it with my own eyes." Silence. The wind rustled through the trees, scattering a few leaves that drifted past them like small, quiet memories. Tuna's lips parted, but no words came. Alex looked at her, his gaze steady, not questioning, just waiting. For years, Tuna had built walls around her heart. Walls meant to protect her from pain, from betrayal. But now, standing before Mai, she realized those same walls had also kept out forgiveness. "Mai," she finally said, her voice trembling, "I hated you for so long. I thought if I buried it, it would disappear. But it never did." Mai nodded, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. "You don't have to forgive me. I just needed to tell you I'm sorry." For a moment, everything stopped. The sound of children laughing in the park, the breeze, even time itself. Then Tuna stepped closer, her eyes wet but calm. "You're right," she whispered. "I don't have to forgive you, but I will." Mai looked up, startled. "Because I need peace too," Tuna continued, "and holding on to pain won't give me that." Alex's chest tightened. He watched as Tuna reached out, her hand trembling slightly as it touched Mai's arm. The gesture was small, but it carried years of buried grief and release. Mai's tears fell freely now. She nodded, stepped back, and whispered, "Thank you." The car door closed, the engine started, and then she was gone. The park fell quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet now. Not emptiness, but completion. Tuna stood still, staring at the horizon. Alex walked to her side, his hand finding hers. She leaned her head against his shoulder. "I thought I was strong because I refused to feel," she murmured. "But I think strength is knowing when to let go." Alex smiled faintly, brushing her hair away from her face. "Maybe peace isn't about having no storms," he said softly. "Maybe it's learning to stand still while they pass." Henry giggled suddenly, chasing a falling leaf that danced near his stroller. The sound broke through the silence like sunlight through clouds. Tuna laughed quietly, a sound lighter than it had been in years. Alex looked at her, and in that moment, he saw not the woman burdened by her past, but the one reborn by it. The breeze carried the scent of rain, cool and clean. The sky above them blushed into evening. Together they walked forward, slow, deliberate, hand in hand, not to escape the past, but to step into whatever awaited them next. The evening lights flickered on one by one, casting golden halos over the quiet park. The world around them had softened, as if every sound, every color had slowed to match the rhythm of their breathing. Henry dozed off in his stroller once more, his tiny fingers still clutching a fallen leaf. Tuna leaned slightly against Alex's shoulder. Neither of them spoke. There was no need to. The silence now was no longer heavy. It was whole, full, alive. Alex's gaze lingered on the distant horizon, where day and night touched each other for the briefest moment. "You see that?" he murmured. "That line between light and dark. It's where we live, I think. Never entirely peaceful, but never entirely lost." Tuna smiled faintly. "And maybe that's enough." They continued walking, their shadows merging on the path beneath the lamplight. The memory of Mai's visit still hovered like mist, but it no longer frightened her. Instead, it reminded her that life would always bring both. People who stay and people who leave. Pain and healing. Silence and laughter. When they reached the end of the path, Tuna stopped. The wind brushed her hair across her face. "Alex," she whispered, Thank you for not giving up, even when I couldn't love you the way you deserved. He turned to her, eyes soft. You did love me, he said. You just needed time to believe you could. Tears glimmered in her eyes, but this time they weren't born of sorrow. They were release. She took his hand, pressing it against her chest where her heartbeat pulsed strong and sure. For so long, I thought peace was the absence of pain, she said quietly. But now I know. It's the courage to live with it. Above them, the sky deepened into indigo. The first stars appeared, small and trembling, like fragile promises of light. Alex squeezed her hand gently. Maybe love doesn't end, he whispered. It just changes shape. And in that moment, standing beneath the quiet stars, with Henry sleeping peacefully and the scent of rain still clinging to the air, Lytuna smiled. Not because everything was perfect, but because, for the first time, she knew that even imperfection could be beautiful. The waves of life would rise again. The winds would shift. But tonight, amidst their fragile calm, they found something that might last. A stillness built not from forgetting, but from finally understanding.
Giữa bộn bề cuộc sống, Tử Na, Alex và Tử Na tìm thấy bình yên trong những khoảnh khắc giản dị bên con trai nhỏ Henry. Nhưng khi người cũ bất ngờ xuất hiện, quá khứ tưởng về để ngủ yên, khẽ la dậy buộc Tử Na phải đối mặt với nỗi sợ tổn thương xưa cũ. Nhớ về tình yêu bền bỉ của Alex, cô nhận ra rằng bình yên không phải là không có sóng gió, mà là học cách đứng vững trong dông bão cuối cùng. Trong buổi hoàng hôn nhẹ nhàng, họ nắm tay nhau, không vì tất cả đã hoàn hảo, mà vì chọn ở lại giữa những điều chưa trọn vẹn với tình yêu đã đủ sâu để gọi là bình an.